This video is sponsored by Imagen.
Well, I did it again. I ticked off a whole bunch of people who knew that a 6-second reel could be so controversial. Let me explain what happened. Basically, that I let a robot edit a shoot for me on a whim, and then I shared a reel about it a couple weekends ago. And I really didn't think much of it, honestly, which I guess is my fault, but I accidentally freaked a lot of people out, especially my dear private editors. But I don't think that AI is all doom and gloom, and the photography industry as a whole has a lot to learn in this area. So in this video, I want to break down exactly what AI editing is, how to use it, and what I think it means for the photography industry overall. And that actually brings me to the sponsor of today's video, which I've never done before, Imagen AI. So yes, this is my first sponsored video by an AI editing platform, but the opinions and thoughts that I'm gonna share and that I'm gonna relay to you in this video are mine alone. Imagen has zero say on the final product of this video, and the first time they'll be seeing it is the first time you're seeing it, right when it goes live on the channel. So I'm excited to be partnering with them because I think it's going to help our community get the most out of AI editing, but we will talk more about that towards the end of the video. Okay, so if you haven't been living under a rock for the past year or two, you've certainly heard about how AI is literally taking over the world, for better or worse.
New Photoshop allows you to add AI to your pictures.
Let's look at AI because specifically the risk that could lead to the extinction of humans.
You are seated next to an AI robot.
Scientists in Australia have received a massive military grant to fuse human brain cells with AI.
It's called ChatGPT from the firm OpenAI, and more than 1 million people have had a play with it since it launched.
And the photography world is no exception. So Adobe has been integrating AI features into many of its products, including Lightroom and Photoshop. And I've been aware of AI culling, I've been aware of AI editing programs for a while now, but for all sorts of reasons, I have been avoiding it. I feel like now it is my duty as a leader and an educator in the photography industry to at least explore these AI tools and share my honest thoughts about them. And while yes, I think that AI has the potential to disrupt the status quo of the photography industry, I ultimately believe it will be a net positive for photographers who want to spend less time in Lightroom and more time growing their businesses. My story is that I have spent so many family holidays and vacations locked in my room in the past, like when I was starting my business. I missed out on family game nights, because I had to edit. I had to edit a gallery, I had a deadline to meet, and I can't tell you how much of a game changer this could have potentially been for me when I was first growing my business. So yes, there are obviously pros and cons to everything, but I cannot ignore the huge potential upside that photographers spending less time drowning in backlogged editing, like what that's gonna do for their life, if that could change for them. I'll talk more about some potential side effects of AI, but first let's talk about how all this works and go from there. So AI editing is basically artificial intelligence editing your photos. It looks at your Lightroom catalog of edited photos, finds the trends and the preferences, and then it trains itself to edit like you. It's a little bit creepy, but that's what it does. And I used Imagen AI because it was referred to me by several friends, and I thought I would give it a shot. Now, I've used culling AI programs in the past, was not super impressed, and so I've been leery of AI editing, and maybe that's the reason why I put off trying it for so long. But now that I've made the leap, I realize I don't know why I put it off. I think it's because I just didn't understand it, and honestly, I just didn't have hopes that it would serve me well. So let's break down what this is. So Imagen AI is an app, and it's leading the AI editing charge in the industry, and it's constantly being updated to adapt to the feedback of photographers, which I think is important and impressive. My overall thoughts of Imagen was that it was incredibly simple for someone who was not looking forward to figuring something new out. It was streamlined, and I felt like I got the hang of it without any knowledge beforehand. So before downloading the app, I didn't really know what to expect, and I figured it out pretty seamlessly. So it was fast. It was also user-friendly. So basically what I did is that I uploaded 2 edited weddings via a Lightroom catalog, and it trained itself overnight. So I want to note, I did not upload raw files. That's not what this is. You're just uploading a catalog, which is pretty instant. And so basically it looks at my editing patterns, it evaluates the sliders and all the stuff it needs to know to figure out how KJ edits, and it learns me. It's so weird. But that's what it does. It learns me. And then once it's trained, I could start using my profile within Imagine AI to edit. So I basically culled a senior shoot like I normally would, then imported into Lightroom just like I normally would. And then I opened up Imagine AI. I opened the app, clicked create a new project. And from there, I was able to select my Lightroom catalog that has the senior shoot with the culled senior shoot in it. And then I selected the folder I wanted to edit and I clicked upload. And then 20 minutes later, I had an email saying, hey, over 400 images were edited just with one click of a button. All I had to do, once I reopened the app, once the editing was done, I clicked one button and it opens up Lightroom and it shows you all the edits applied to the raw files. And it looked amazing. I mean, I could make tweaks. I could refine anything I wanted to refine. It looks just like an edited Lightroom catalog, like I did it. There's nothing different, except I didn't do anything. I didn't even edit anchor images, which is wild. So for this particular shoot, it was pretty incredible and close to perfect. I think I tweaked the greens in 15 images out of 400. I was honestly blown away. You can ask Michael. I'm like, come here, you have to see this. However, the shoot was also shot on my property where I know the light and I know the location super well. So there was so much consistency in my shooting. And it makes sense why AI would thrive on this gallery. There's a lot of consistent variables that made AI work really well. I would call this like a best case scenario for AI editing. And it did truly blow me away. I was blown away. That being said, I almost knew it was too good to be true because a few days later, I sent in an engagement session. Trickier lighting. We had some brick walls reflecting some orange light. We had some haze. We had some different scenarios. I had it edited in 8 minutes. There were 607 photos, which I know is way too many photos for an engagement session. But I just did a quick pass at culling and I just wanted to see, okay, how fast could I get this thing edited and how fast could I get it done? So it was a fast turnaround, minutes later, but the lighting was harder than the senior shoot. And this gallery, coming back from Imagine AI, it needed some tweaks. But it's still amazing because the tweaks were minimal and I'm going to upload those tweaks, which is a cool feature. I can upload that gallery or that catalog again and Imagine AI will learn my preferences and adapt. So theoretically, it can train itself and get better of understanding my editing with every session. So at the end of the day, even though it wasn't perfect, it still probably saved me hours of bulk editing. Tedious, boring editing. The editing that is not fun. It's not artistic. It's just doing the base bulk edits of like my style, but it's not perfecting it. So all that sounds great. Now let's talk about the price, because surely this is where we get you, right, with the price. Imagine AI charges 5 cents per image, which is crazy because they offer a variety of pricing options based on your needs with things like bulk packages or pay-as-you-go. For reference, I pay my editor 39 cents per image to edit my weddings. I've always edited my portrait sessions, but for my weddings, that's what I'm paying. But the expectation is that when she edits, I'm going to get back a perfect gallery and I don't refine or tweak anything at all. So what am I saying? I'm saying that this is honestly hard. It's very hard. It's very complicated. I have had a lot of conversations about this with private editors over the last few weeks, and I see their fear and I understand their worry. It is so understandable. I've also talked with a lot of photographers who don't have private editors, never plan to have private editors, and there's honestly not a lot of photographers that can afford the luxury of affording a private editor. And this is truly a good option for them. And I know that's going to sound scary to editors, but for a lot of photographers, they were never going to work with you to begin with. This is a great option for them to get their life back. If I'm being even more honest, I think that using Imagine AI for editing could possibly make or break the chance of a newer photographer making it in this industry. I am not going to be a good educator if I gatekeep this knowledge just because it ruffles some feathers and it changes the status quo. The beauty and the reality is that there are opportunities here for editors and for photographers to thrive. But you have to change your mindset, and I have an entire podcast about this. Even if you're not a private editor, you should listen to this podcast. But if you are a private editor, especially, it was made for you. So go listen to it. I have compassion. I have empathy for you. I understand the fear, and I understand how hard this is. That podcast episode was designed for you. For the photographers out there, it's not necessarily all positives. We need to break down a few things you should be aware of. So photographers, here are things you have to know if you're going down the world into the realm of AI. You have to learn how to shoot consistency if you want AI to work for you. I have a free class link below that will help you with that. Another thing, you have to learn how to edit. AI cannot replace that knowledge for you. You need to understand Lightroom. I also have a free class that will help you get started with that, and that is linked below. Once you're shooting and editing fairly consistently, AI should be used for base bulk edits. It's affordable enough to, it's going to give you your life back. There's literally no reason not to automate this part of post-processing. Just as a side note, when I spoke with Imagine AI, their rep literally said that they've had people say by name that KJ students, if you've learned the KJ way of shooting and editing, it works seamlessly with AI, which makes sense. Think about my posing. Find one location and stay there. So you have consistency in your light. Think about my editing. Find your pattern in your tonal curve and in your base part of the develop module and master it, and then just make adjustments to that pattern depending on if you're shooting a reception or if you're shooting in glowy sunset light. There's patterns that I'm enabling our students to learn over and over and over again to create a consistent look. Makes sense why KJ students would thrive with this editing option. So overall, I see this as a net positive for the photography industry, that more photographers can get their life back. And I think that more editors can actually take on more work more efficiently and grow their client base just by blending and adapting and doing different things with their business, maybe that they've never even imagined before. So yes, the status quo is going to change, but that's just what happens as technology evolves. This is not going anywhere. So I urge you to have an open mind and view this as an opportunity, not just as a downfall for our industry. So what should you do now? If you are a photographer, what should you do now? What should be your next step if you want to just see what AI editing could do for you? Imagine AI is giving 1,000 free edits to you to try it out, to just see what it does for you. And if you like it, there's a link below. And then we need your questions. So I believe we're just scratching the surface here. This is a basic overview video. We plan to share more about this in the future because my inbox and my DMs are flooded with questions and I honestly can't get back to everybody's. I want to share with you as I grow with AI, I want to share with you how I'm going to balance working with my private editor and using AI for the shoots that I don't send to her. There's a lot that we need to talk through. There's a lot of change coming, but I think it's all for the best. So leave those questions below. I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.